Alright people, how you doing? Hope you're all good. I'm alright. I'm just kicking back at home. I was just going over some stuff there and thought I would come on and talk about this uh, book that I finished reading about a notorious kind of serial killing case in America that you might or might not have heard of. But before I get into that, just cheers for people that are watching, subscribing, leaving positive comments, all that kind of stuff. It's appreciated. I do try and answer everybody. Unless you're just being negative. Do you know what I mean? Just no time for negativity, man. I've got enough darkness in my head, do you know what I mean? Don't need any of yours. um, Had a bit of a weird couple of days, if I'm honest. I was in the kitchen the other day, make my son's lunch, and I've seen these post motors with the fucking blue lights on, rushing into my street. And see that way, I don't know if any of yous who've ever been in jail actually do this, but I do it all the fucking time. See if I ever see a police vehicle outside my building, my first thing is, the first thought in my head is, it's like there's two of me, and it's like the good and the bad, right? We all have this in us. It's not just because I've been to prison, right? And it's like that other side of you is like that. Here, have you done something? The police are out there. So I had to check, I had to think. I'm like, no. So I looked out the window. There was a guy lying. So I stay in a block of flats, right? And there was a fucking guy lying on the parapet where the kind of intercom buzzers are, where you press intercom, it's like a ledge it comes out. He's fucking jumped out this window and landed on this parapet, right? And there was, I counted, there was 5 ambulances, um, a fire brigade, and um, six police motors, vans, all that shit, right? So 6 police vehicles. And I'm looking at him going, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? I was actually on the phone to my Wayne's gran, my Wayne's Masma, right? And I'm looking and thinking, what the fuck? So I've looked at him and I've just been like, this is fucking surreal. So I've heard a guy that works in the concierge, right? I've known him as long as I can remember, and I've heard him saying he came out the fourth floor. That's my brother's house, right? And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I was just pure shocked and, I don't know, dismayed at the same time. Like, well, obviously, some of you will maybe know if you're watching my videos. I don't really I keep my distance from my brother, obviously, because I've tried to help him beat his addiction for being out of jail, and it's just not working, right? So, and he's done a lot of stuff that I'm not going to talk about, right? But it's what some people say, it's still your brother. No, he's like my full sibling. Like, he's the only sibling I have that has the same mum and dad as me, right? And it's hard to watch him die bit by bit, day by day, and all that shit. But I have a son now, so my priority in my whole being, my whole existence is geared towards building this wee boy up into a man. So I don't really have time for his shit, and it's quite sad to say, but what else can you fucking do? You know what I mean? You can only, if you're not taking the help, it would be like if I'd got out of jail in 2019 and I was still acting and behaving the way I used to, like, if somebody had so much as spoke to me in the wrong tone of voice, I would have held on to that, right? And I would have nursed that until such times as I done something about that, right? And as I've always said, it comes from kind of low self-esteem, no dealing, it's immaturity as well, do you know what I mean? But I just can't be about that anymore. And I don't believe for a second that anybody who's been where I've been in life couldn't do that again, couldn't go back to that. I don't believe that for a fucking second. I just believe that now they have shit to lose, that they just couldn't lose. It would destroy them mentally, physically, whatever, legally, and they just can't lose it. And they're willing to bear anything, not to lose it. That's where I'm at. So, and I'm talking about my son. If I lost my son, there would be no, and I'm just being deadly serious, there'd be no telling what I would do. Do you know what I mean? Because it's the only time I've felt real love, what real love is about. Because I'm responsible for him. And the shit he's going through with his mum now. He says it doesn't bother him, but I used to say that. And I know that at that time when my dad was going through what he was going through, as I've said on other podcasts and that, I was like crying myself to sleep at night, literally. Um, it wasn't fun, do you know what I mean? So, we all have feelings. Like, I know I'm not a psychopath. Do you know what I mean? Even though some people would maybe disagree, but their opinions don't matter because I know me and I know what I feel. Do you know what I mean? I do have empathy. Sorry, fucking oh, fucking yawning. But aye, that was mental. This was only the other day. This fucking happened. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking and I'm thinking, I don't. My brother, I don't even know what the story was with the guy jumping out his kitchen window. My brother stays 4 floors up, right? And see what really kind of got to me was people were phoning me all day saying they heard it was me who jumped out the window. And I'm like, not a fucking chance, man. No chance. If you ever hear I've done something like that, I just want to put that out there. I've had help getting out the window. I've not got that in me, and I'm not saying that try to disparage people. I'm saying that takes either a lot of guts or a lot of desperation, and I don't have any of that. I'm not the type to hurt myself. I'm the type to, and I don't mean this as a threatening way or big up, whatever. I mean, like, I would rather, I project, right? So if I had a lot of pain, so the difference between people, let me just put it this way, right? The difference between me and people who hurt themselves is they're turning it on themselves, I turn it on other people. So people who I perceive to have done something to me, I would rather go and do that. I couldn't put my family through that kind of shit. They've been through enough. And I couldn't jump out a fucking tower, you know what I mean? I'm multi-story, whatever. I would rather just go to sleep and no wake up sort of thing. But I don't even know, I think the guy must have been fucking on drugs or something, because, well, when I looked down, his legs were moving, he could move his legs, so he's no broke his back or nothing, but I'm just like, what the fuck, know what I mean? And this is why I can't take nothing to do with my brother, know what I mean? Because eventually he'll suck me in and my Wayne's gonna pay for it, my son will pay for it in the end, and That's not happening at all. So anyway, finished reading this book, right? The Killer Clown, the John Wayne Gacy murders, right? Now, I don't know if any of you have heard of this guy, but this actually came to light in 1978. I wasn't even born. This is like 4 or 5 years before I was born. So there was this young boy, by all accounts, very don't want to say well-to-do family, like upper crust or whatever, but maybe middle class American, right good boy, fucking straight A student, all this kind of stuff. He was working in a chemist, and what happened was he's just disappeared. Sorry, I can't help this, man. So he's disappeared. It was his mum's birthday, and obviously she's notified the police, obviously, right, as you would, and they're like, how, where was you last see him? Is what they ask. Who was the last person to see him? They work it for her, and she's like, oh, I went out to talk to this guy. He's got a building company. What's his name? John Gacy, right? So the police have went to his house, and he was just being uncooperative or no belligerent. Well, if you want to say that, aye, but just no being helpful at all, right? So the copper gave me his due, man. He said something's no right about him, and this is the thing, like, when I come on and talk about people who are human predators, right? The people that I wanted to study, like, for my degree, my offender profile, all that shit, ended up doing prison rehabilitation. These people are like lions in a Serengeti, and I don't mean that like try to give them a compliment, because being called a lion is a compliment to me, right? But what I mean by that is they're just animals, man. There's no other way to fucking put it, right? And I refuse to listen to any of this shit that there's rehabilitation in. Oh, we just sit and do the 6 month fucking stop programme, and they'll be. Listen, man, the only thing that's got to cure somebody like that is a rope around his neck. So, unbeknownst to the cops, when they went to question John Gacy, when this young boy went missing, the boy's body was actually in his house, right? But they didn't know that. So anyway, they've started kind of like surveillance teams and try to befriend them, but the police are trying to befriend you, right? There's something, you know, it's a mind game, right? Obviously, especially when you're kind of you're being looked into for kind of a child abduction. This young boy was only 15, right? And he was in his, this perpetrator was in his 30s at the time. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of him. Kind of like, he used to dress up as a clown and all that shit. Some of you will remember it, because there was like films about it, and it's quite a well-known case, you know what I mean, for my generation. But the police got a search warrant to the house, but he'd already moved the body in, right? And while they were searching the house, they found all these rings and pairs of underwear and driver's licenses that might not have made any sense at the start, but for somebody who knows or has read up on how these people function, the hairs in the back of my neck when I stood up, because I believe that they must have known what this was. This was trophies. For any that don't know, A lot of serial offenders, they take keepsakes for every crime. And it can be something really innocuous. It can be a driver's license, a key, a watch. It can be something that wouldn't mean anything if you found it. But when you couple it all together, you've got drawers full of shit, right? You're just like, and especially if you're investigating this person for a child abduction, you're just like, holy fuck, like, fucking pairs of underpants and all that. He's like stealing their underwear, and this guy was he was homosexual, obviously. So people, I think some people maybe don't think, oh, it's just pairs of underwear, but imagine it was women's underwear, you'd think straight away he's a fucking wrong, you know what I mean? So it's the same kind of thing, but except he's not into women. Um, so anyway, they've ended up they had these 24-hour surveillance teams on him, and the thing is, right, see the more they were hounding him, he was breaking down. This guy was breaking down, right? He was breaking down to the extent where he actually drove to his own lawyer's office, right, and confessed to his lawyer, but he was out his fucking nut and Valium and whiskey. And see the creepy thing is, right, his own lawyer came out of the office, right, so John Gacy went to his lawyer, right, out his box, started confessing to all these fucking murders, right, saying I've killed like 40 people, and he fell asleep in his lawyer's office, right, and there was two surveillance cops waiting outside, and the lawyer went out while his client was sleeping and said, listen, I can't tell you what he's told me, but if he tries to flee, fucking arrest him, that's all I can say. And that's pretty creepy, if you ask me. But the funny thing is, right, that fucking idiot had invited two surveillance cops into his house, right, to play pool, drink beer, smoke weed, whatever. And while they were in the house, one of them went to the toilet, and the heating duct came on, right? And see, when the heating duct came on, this man's smell came through the vents, which he recognised for the time he used to work in a morgue. And he's like, there's bodies on that property. He's went back, see, after they've left the house, he's went back to his fucking superiors, like, listen man, there's bodies in that house somewhere. They've searched it the first time, but they've no excavated the property. So they've ended up trying to get this other warrant, but because the guy had kind of political connect, no high up political shit, but had his photo took with fucking the first lady, and he was working with the fucking the council, and so he was embedded with kind of the local authority, which is kind of camouflage for your kind of psychopaths and your smart ones anyway. No, every psychopath is smart. Like, I've kind of came across a couple who exude psychopathy to the extent that you just know to stay away from them, whereas you'll get ones where they've got all this camouflage in them. You think they're harmless, and before you know it, man, you're fucking your head's in the fucking freezer, know what I mean? Or you're weighted down in the bottom of the Clyde, know what I mean? They're the intelligent ones to watch out for. But they ended up getting the search warrant, and fucking they've arrested him first, but and they've got the search warrant. Went to his house, and there was a bit underneath the house called the crawl space, right? So it's like a kind of, it's not a basement, it's like kind of a 4 foot space that's like only accessed by a trapdoor in a fucking closet, like a closet, walk-in closet, right? Like a trapdoor, you go down, and you need to kind of crouch down in it, and they went down in there and started excavating it, and before you know it, they've found bones, human bones. So that's gave them the suspicion to charge him with murder. And they've excavated the whole property. They found, I think it was 27 separate sets of human remains, right? And they found 5 more bodies in a local river because it had been fucking, it had ran out of space basically. Just and the things that he was doing to these boys was absolutely fucking. Do you know what it reminded me? If I'm being honest, the limbs in the lock that I spoke about before. I'd actually try to get in touch with one of the investigating officers on that case to get him on the channel, see if he wanted to come on and talk about it, because obviously William Beggs is up for parole, and the last thing he should be getting is parole, home leaves, and only one thing he should be getting. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Just, our country's fucked up, mate, that somebody like that can never even see daylight, never mind oil challenges for human rights. Human rights, aye, you need to be human first, mate. And this is what this case reminded me, except for the fact that he didn't dismember the victims. John Wayne Gacy didn't dismember any of these victims. It's fucking to think that somebody gets sexual thrills out of torture, human beings being in pain. There can only be one way to deal with somebody like that. That person is a threat to everybody who is in his kind of type, the victimology, if you want to call it that. And it's just horrendous to think that there could be people like that out there walking amongst us, you know what I mean? It's no good, is it? But they've arrested him and they've charged him with the murders, and he's ended up confessing to it all. And but I think he retracted some of it. But I watched a documentary about it on YouTube, man. I'll maybe try and stick the link in the description of this video. And he was actually taped telling his lawyers about the murders that he'd done, but then 10, 20 years later, when he's on death row, denying everything, and he was talking about one of the victims' mums, and he said, if her son's so perfect, how did he run away? Just the fucking height of narcissism, man. The height of psychopathy, do you know what I mean? Like, that fucking poor woman's son was fucking abducted, raped, tortured, and murdered, and he's getting on about that. Just beggars belief, man. That there's just, I thought I was fucking bad till I read and heard about shit like this, know what I mean? And I suppose, like, it's maybe a good sign because you know you have that empathy for people, you know what I mean? It's like, obviously I've done bad shit in my life, do you know what I'm talking about? I don't want to sit and fucking sugarcoat it, but I know I'm not capable of things like that. That's just, that's horror film material, fuck's sake, you know what I'm talking about? And reading some of that book, man, was like fucking, I don't know, it was mad because I remember watching a film about it as a kid. The guy out of Rambo was in it. And it was a lot of kind of, there wasn't a lot of violence in it, but see, it was that the hinted kind of stuff, which it leaves it to your imagination, which to me can be worse sometimes, you know what I mean, especially with the way my fucking brain works, you know what I mean? But it was horrendous, so he's ended up being found guilty. He was sentenced to death, and he was subsequently executed in May 1994. Funnily enough, when I was staying in the Gorbals, so bit of a nightmare that was, but fuck it, is what it is, innit? But aye, just when I read it, they had actually kind of looked into. They think he's actually been killing before his first recorded murder, which wouldn't surprise me because you find with a lot of these serial offenders that there's a lot more out there they've not been caught for. So, and I'm telling you, the now there's people out there we've not even found yet. That's the scary thing. And some people might be like, why do you read about this and why do you study that shit? Not well, I don't know. Well, it is interesting to be fair, but at the same time, knowledge is really power, especially when it comes to these people. Don't want to call them people, but can't think anything else to call them. And if something's no right, go with your gut. Because trust me, we always think it will never happen to us. We do. And to be fair, stranger on stranger murders, which what this is, serial killings are usually stranger on stranger murders. The police will tell you most murders we solve is because the victim and the perpetrator know each other. That's how they solve it, the connection between the victim and the killer. But these are people basically who are addicted to murdering people. That's their habit. And people might be like, oh, fucking, so what I'm trying to say is, the stranger on stranger murder is actually statistically low. It's like less than one in fucking a high number, right? It's like less than one in 100,000, something like that, right? It's fucking almost impossible kind of thing. But everybody who it happened to all says we never thought this would have happened to us. That's what I'm kind of saying, right? And we don't really hear about it a lot in Scotland, even though we've had worse kind of cases and that. But it's just good to be aware, I think. Do you know what I mean? It's an indictment on human nature as well, if you ask me, man. The way somebody can turn like that, the way they can, their their biopsychosocial triad can like just do you know what I'm talking about? Can meld together and create this fucking absolute abomination where they're sexually excited by somebody screaming for their life. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely fucking frightening, man. If I'm being honest with you. And that's what I say, man. I always don't really see it happening to me, but it's good to kind of know, and plus I keep my son aware of shit as well, do you know what I mean? Like, just wee pointers, not to kind of alarm them or anything, but it's always good to kind of be on the ball, do you know what I mean? You just never know, do you know what I mean? But before I go, talking to Big Ricky Killeen, who I don't know if any of you know, he's got a YouTube channel, Behind the Bars TV. It's probably the best UK prison theme channel that I've found. In fact, I think it is right. He was the first podcast I'd ever went on. I hadn't been on Sean Atwood's, anybody else's before. Ricky was the first one. He's a Newcastle boy, good guy. We're got to get a part 2 in the works. Don't know when it's happening, but looking forward to that. So if any are interested in kind of prison stuff, and it's UK, it's all Scotland, Ireland, England, Wales, all that shit. So maybe go and check it out if you've not already watched it. It is a good channel, man. I think it is it's the only UK channel that I actually do watch most things that he puts out. The other ones I'm kind of a bit easy ozy ways, you know what I mean? But maybe go and check it out. And obviously, when that happens, I'll go and I'll put it on my description page. But hope you're having a good weekend. Whatever you're doing, obviously stay safe and all that kind of stuff. Cheers for all the positive comments and the messages. Just shit, good stuff's happening now. Do you know what I mean? It is quite good. I never thought that people would even be interested in listening to what I say and my life, and it is quite mental when you look back on it, man. Because somebody was saying that to me, fucking hell, man, your life story's mental, and I'm like, I never thought of that. I just think like I honestly thought this was all normal, which is a bit fucking crazy when you think about that. But do you know what? Fuck it, man. At least I'm trying. Do you know what I mean? And try to make good of it and try to like turn the Rumpelstiltskin, is it what, spin shit into gold or whatever the fuck it was. It was something like that. um, but thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'm going to be back on soon anyway. I've got another kind of um ideas for stories and that, so I'm going to go. And you have a good day, good evening, and I'll see you next time I'm on.